Hello there. Do you have a dream of meeting your hero? Do you long to write a book where you get someone to give you a testimony that the book is great? Well, that was my dream, and I had no idea how I was going to do it. Many years, even before he appeared in The Secret, I was passionate about a man called Dr. Joe Vitale because he was a writer and he was talking about the way that you can change your life by clearing your patterns. And at that time, he didn't talk about EFT, although later he did. So the outcome of what I'm going to tell you today is how I manifested and attracted Dr. Joe Vitale to write the foreword of my book, You Can Break Free Fast, 3 Simple Steps to Get Unstuck and Attract the Life You Love. Well, as you can imagine, this was a book that I had in me from the years, and I'd only been doing it for, well, it was 7 or 8 years that I had been an emotional healer using EFT tapping, the journey, and later matrix reimprinting and the law of attraction. So I took these principles and I helped clients to break free. And when someone asked me, I had a branding session with someone and they said to me, what do you do? So I said, I help people break free fast. And he said, well, how? So I said, in one session, using my methods and my intuition, but mainly the emotional healing aspect of what I do, you can go into and release what is keeping that person stuck, what is keeping them from achieving their dreams and goals, what is keeping them procrastinating. And I mean, if you don't believe me, the case studies of what are the miracles that were happening at that time and which I wanted to share with the world are in this book. And in the days and weeks to come in my Facebook Lives, I'm going to share with you some of the stories from that book. But first, let me say it was 10 years ago, 2009. So it's coming up for its 10th anniversary. And I'm thinking of changing the cover, which I want to share, because on the cover is a picture of me 10 years ago on my wedding day. And it was the photographer taking the picture. And I thought, well, I want to put it on the cover. But I'm thinking of changing it and changing up and adding a new chapter because it doesn't have the chapter on matrix reimprinting. But let's get back to Joe Vitale, Dr. Joe Vitale. You may know him from The Secret. I knew him when he was doing something called hypnotic writing. And from the time when he was marrying spirituality with marketing, I thought, this man is amazing. He's my alter ego, if you like. Talking of alter egos, I'm going to do another video on that, actually, how I used alter egos to change my life from that time, from the year 2000, in fact. But let's get back to me following and stalking, if you like, my hero, Dr. Joe Vitale. And I subscribed to what he did. And one of the books he wrote was called Meet and Grow Rich. He co-wrote it with the people. I was following the people he worked with. And I was living in Cape Town, South Africa. So how was I ever going to meet Dr. Joe Vitale in Austin, Texas? But that didn't stop me. I still thought there's something about him. I need to connect. So I remember once people saying, if you send someone a present, that they will remember you. So I don't know if he remembers me. Someone called Carol Morgan, who I was in those days, sending him a book of adverts because he was interested in marketing, the Reader's Digest book of adverts that I had contributed to because I was a journalist before, in South Africa, all the ads that had made that the Reader's Digest had compounded in this. Now, who's watching me? If you are interested in getting a copy, I'm giving away today a free copy of my Break Free Fast book with the foreword by Dr. Joe Vitale, which you can see there. He wrote the foreword and he said some amazing things. One of the things was that I was like a fairy godmother waving a magic wand and helping people to break free so that, and this is very important, they can live their dreams and goals and what I call attract and claim the life you love. And I'm still doing that 10 years later after this book has brought me hundreds more clients and a great life because I then married after I'd been looking after I'd been following Dr. Joe Vitale, I began to more and more apply and believe that you can change your life. And then I met and married the man of my dreams. And the first thing I did when I began to write this book and realized that I can show people how to break free fast, and it is to do with tapping into the past, into the traumatic memories that you're holding in childhood. So that's, if you're interested in that, put the words, I want to break free in the comments. And then I will know that if there are 5 of you or 10 of you, I will definitely send you a copy of my book, even if it's the PDF, because it still stands today and helps people. They read it and they think, wow, I can break free. I don't have to be stuck, because the stories are just amazing. But I'm only going to talk today about what happened with Dr. Joe Vitale. So I married the man of my dreams. I began to write my book, and I still thought the one person I would love to write the foreword is Dr. Joe Vitale. And into my email came this email he wrote, which said, because I was subscribed to his list, do you want to be in my movie? And he was doing a workshop in Austin, Texas, or was it San Diego? No, it wasn't in Austin, it was in San Diego, which was still a world away from me. I hadn't been to San Diego. And I decided to take all my savings and to get on a plane and go to his workshop where he was talking about the attractive factor and Ho'oponopono. And he shared some wonderful things. I actually, had the most amazing time. But because I had this vision of him being the right person to connect with for my book and for my future going forward, I paid extra to be part of his mastermind. Now, I told you, I had, just for one evening, I sat in to a Dr. Joe Vitale mastermind. And because I'd been reading Meet and Grow Rich, it was like a dream come true. But what I had planned and what I had visualized was, although it was only in, although my book was still in a form like this, was still in paper form and hadn't been published, I stood up. He went around the group. I said, I'm from South Africa. I'm living in England, and I've been following you, since forever. I love what you stand for. Will you write the foreword to my book? It's about EFT tapping, but also how people can clear what, the slate from the past so that they can create their dream life in the future. And he asked his assistant to take a note of what I'd said, and he said he would. And as time went on, my book was published. I sent him the foreword as it was going to appear. I'd spelled forward wrong. I spelled it Foreward, and he just mentioned, it should be Foreword. And that was that. And I published it. Now, today, and I'm telling you now, it's one of my manifestation dreams right today, February 2019, I would like to interview Joe on my Facebook Lives. I'm going to be continuing with the Facebook Lives regularly, at least 3 times a week. It's my new commitment to myself and my clients and the work I've done, because this is one of 3 books I've written. I've got tons of other ideas for books, but this one has got a special place in my heart, and I want to republish it with a chapter on EFT. It's got a lot on EFT tapping, a center spread on it, and EFT tapping is the flavor of the month these days, because neuroscience can now prove how, in the days when I was doing it, it was just, I was seeing the results and people's lives were changing, but they didn't have any neuroscience to prove it. And something I've never shared, very few people know this, but because I was running workshops in South Africa, teaching people EFT tapping, and I was a student of Gary Craig at that time, and I got a letter from the Psychology Board of South Africa saying that if I didn't explain or desist doing what I was doing, telling people they could break free, that they would fine me or throw me in jail. And I was shocked, because I was doing it from my heart and I was getting the results. So I knew that what I was teaching was for real, that people can break free when they only know and they're sitting with someone who can help them tap into the past, tap into their emotional and energetic bodies, and remember what set them up. I call it a break-free aha, and there are many case studies of how people were set up. Anyway, how did I get away from, to move on from my sharing with you that I'm going to ask Dr. Joe Vitale to show up and be a guest on a Facebook Live with me sometime this year. But in the meanwhile, what is in it for you if you buy the book or get a free copy from me is you will learn how tapping goes into the brain, the part of you that has stored trauma, and releases it so that you can break free. And in that release, if you were to work with me, you would find what I call a break-free aha. And let me tell you a story. His name's Yuan, and he's actually given me a testimony in the front of the book, but I want to tell you his story. And he phoned me, he heard me on a radio show, because at that time I was really publicizing EFT and how it could change people's lives. And I was on a radio show, and he called me and he said, look, can you help me with my procrastination? He said, I was a top, I was involved with an insurance company, and I was selling, and I wanted to go out on my own. I moved to a country town in South Africa. But for 2 years, I've not been able to get my act together. I just can't start. And I'm getting worried because I'm running out of my savings. So I began to work with him, distance, on the phone. We had a session. And in that session, do you know what the break-free aha for him was? When he was 11 years old, 10 or 11, his father took him down to the athletics track with a stopwatch. And the backstory of that is his father and his older brother were top athletes, and said to him, do a round while I time you. So Juan, his name is Juan, Afrikaans Juan, ran for all he was worth, 10 years old, came up to his father, and his father looked at the stopwatch, turned on his heel, and walked away. So do you know the belief that had been set up at that time for that young boy? It was, why even bother entering the race of life if I'm never going to win? If I'm just not good enough to win? And my father even, he didn't beat him. He didn't say, you're no good. There was no big, what we call a big T trauma. It was a small trauma, but it affected his whole life. And it was affecting the fact that he didn't want to enter the race of life as an entrepreneur on his own. It was holding him back, because what if he didn't win? And that's one of the big things. If you are a coach or an author or an entrepreneur, as we know, we don't know if we're going to be successful with our ideas or with our launching forth. In fact, let me tell you that when I wanted to publish this book with all the case studies, I wanted Hay House to publish it, but because I lived in South Africa, they said, no, only if you live in the UK. So when I got to the UK, I sent it to them, and I never heard from them again. But being me, I said, no, I'm going to publish it myself. This was before Amazon. Now, any of you who want to write a book don't have to wait for Hay House, as wonderful as they are. You can publish it on Amazon, and I urge you to do that. So anyway, the end result of my client, I hope I'm not, confusing you by jumping around, but I'm just very excited today to be starting to share what wasn't available for me to share when I first published this book. And I'm going to actually read to you. This will calm me down a little bit, because I'm so excited how his life changed. And in his own words at the beginning of the book, he puts his full name, Juan Picard. 1 telephone consultation plus the workshop, because he came to train in EFT. He drove all the way from Port Elizabeth to train with me. Anyway, he said 1 telephone consultation plus the workshop with Carol completely changed my life and freed me from procrastination and failure to take action and succeed in business. Sad to think this had held me back for almost 50 years and can be pinpointed to an exact memory and belief set up in childhood. I feel energized and leaping ahead with work. And he not only freed himself from his procrastination and went on to enjoy a successful business, but his wife had an accident and couldn't drive. And that's why he came to train with me. He wanted to help other people, including his wife, with the EFT tapping. So that's how I want to end this Facebook Live. I know that EFT tapping helps. And you might say, well, what happened? I know the question is hanging. What happened with the board in South Africa who wanted to throw me in jail for saying that I could help people break free with EFT tapping? Well, first of all, I'll be honest, I buried the letter in a drawer and said, F them. I know what I'm doing. I'm being led. I was inspired by my higher self to do this. I was selling property and I was a journalist before. But the minute I could break free with EFT tapping in the journey, I knew it was my sole purpose, my life mission. But I had another mentor who I'll talk about in another session, who was a healer, and he was a chiropractor. And he did a reading on me, and he said, and there were other people in this workshop, and they said, Carol, don't ignore this letter, because they will come for you if you do. They said, you need to get other testimonies from people to say that you're not offering yourself as a therapist, that you have a spiritual dimension to the work you're doing. But more importantly, in that workshop, do you know what the psychic healer told me? He said, you, Carol, were in a lifetime in the Spanish Inquisition. See, it even makes me get goosebumps to talk about it. You stood up for what you believed in, and you were tortured and killed. So I'm getting goosebumps, because that memory of him telling me that just changed everything. And I thought, yes, there's a way to stand up and not be killed in this lifetime. There's a way to stand up for what I believe in. And in time, the tapping work has been verified by more than 80 studies that shows how it reduces stress and anxiety in the body. But at that time, I had to face this inquisition by the Psychology Board of South Africa. Well, what happened was I had clients of the top echelons, businessmen, and they all said, Carol does not set herself up as a psychotherapist. She does her work from a healing soul perspective, which is actually what I'd learned with Brandon Bays in the journey. She had taught me to know that I was there to help a person's soul break free from, she didn't use those words, but break free from where they were stuck emotionally or physically. So at the end of that, I got 3 letters, and one of my clients, I don't think I won't say his name, he was actually on the board of acupuncturists in South Africa. And he had come to me and validated in a letter to the psychology board that what I was doing was completely within my bounds as a spiritual and coach and healer. So I lived to carry on. I was a bit more careful. I used to have a website at that time called healingfeelingsinminutes.com. In a way, I wish I'd kept it, but I took that down and I thought, well, I'll be more careful in what I'm promising as an outcome with my work, but at least breaking free, which I came to use as my brand, and I still use to this day. I love helping people break free. And I've done it in various ways. I've helped people break free to make more money, to stop procrastination. And currently, because I'm also celebrating 11 years of meeting the love of my life online, I'm putting all my efforts into helping midlife women who feel stuck or unsure to get their confidence back and break free when it comes to love and money, because the two are connected. I'm not pretending that I'm going to be a financial expert. I'm not pretending that, but I know that when we clear the issues around our root chakra and our lower chakras, and one of them is money, the love can flow. So if you come to me, if you are interested, and you can write below if you would like a free session to see if I can help you clear the heart wall or clear the money issues that you're struggling with, and just write it in the comments. The point is that I love helping people break free. And this year, 2019, it's the 10th year anniversary of my book. It's the 11th year anniversary of being married to Nick Westmore, the love of my life. And every day is like our baby boomer honeymoon, as we say. So I want to pass that on to other women, because meeting him in my 50s was a game changer, as was meeting and face to face with Joe Vitale. So they're different aspects of the law of attraction that I can help you with if you're interested. This isn't a sales pitch. I'm just sharing with you, but I'm really hoping, and I'm going to now contact, that's my promise to you, Joe Vitale, to see if he will be a guest. If not, immediately, then sometime in the future. He's always booked up and busy, but he's still one of my favorite people. So thank you for listening today. And as I say, put your name, put a comment, please, if you want to hear more about some of the true stories, that there are at least 10 to 15 stories of people breaking free in miraculous ways. That's not even counting the testimony I've got from one of my clients recently, who completely changed the game when it came to love and money in her life. But that's for another Facebook Live. I might even be able to get her to come on and we'll talk about how my coaching today helped her to break free. That's all for tonight. I'm saying over and out.